Alex, take a look inside your heart. Is there any room for me? I learned how to hold my breath, deep down on my knees. Cause you only want to hold me when I'm looking good enough. Did you ever fool me? Did you ever picture us? In my heart, I see us there. I see you one day you'll be so ridiculous. It was nothing even now. You never will be was like nothing you can have.
Good with it, was good with it. Cracking, y'all. Welcome to the Al Jaheez podcast show. Gonna get it in tonight, man. Want to get on this subject right here because we do the shout out to the Community Skeptics channel as well. So my brother me and Ngozi, Amir. We do the Through the Hardaway channel, we Nazi Levy on our too. And we always bring up discussion on the West African migrations and things of that nature. And I just want to get everything straight on that. I even had a debate on another channel, my brother Super Wavy channel. Had a debate with a Hebrew. It's a small little debate with a Hebrew. But he had the assumption. We were talking about the Bantu expansion and relationship between the different Bantu groups. He said the Bantu wasn't people group. So I understand that nobody ever called themselves Bantus as a group, but we recognize these related groups that have a common origin, common genetics, and common traditions that they share that stream from Western Central Africa themselves, in the Niger Congo civilization, Niger Congo speakers. And even then, West African culture is genetically and culturally happen in layers. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get into that. Do my mic sound clear in the audience? Do it sound clear, y'all? Push a one if my mic sound clear. Yeah, man. Like and subscribe to the channel too, man. Get right into it, y'all. I'm gonna show some sources real quick. Let me get right into it real quick. All right, cool. Bet that. Universal app, right on, yo. Gonna get it in, yo. Hold on. My sources. Let me get my sources together real quick. We're gonna start off. With Wikipedia. Let me get into other sources too. Peace, brother. Universal African Order. Peace, bro. Right on. You gotta get into even before you even get to Niger Congo speakers, what was going on in West Africa too. We gotta get into all of that. We need to really dig into, what I'm saying, migration and overlap. Show a few maps I got. Okay, here we go. All right, man. Share my screen. All right, now we get into the history of West Africa, yo. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna start off. We're gonna start there. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna give, clear breakdown, overview, just kind of break down, just go through the sources. You know what I'm saying? I might even add on, people can join the panel if you want to add their opinion, what they think. Just gonna get to it, man. Just gonna study tonight, yo. Show what it do. History of West Africa. So the history of West Africa has, and then too, some of the history of West Africa beyond West Africa. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get into the corridor, of the cultural corridor too. You know what I'm saying? When we get into Niger Congo speakers, or even just late Stone Age population itself, time periods when different people came into West Africa, different time people when people were lingering, you know what I'm saying, from archaic humans to Tyrian culture to late Stone Age hunter-gatherers who come in, who some people confuse them as the Niger Congo speakers, but they weren't the Niger Congo speakers quite yet. You know what I'm saying? Those were just, you know what I'm saying, the West African hunter-gatherers were not Niger Congo speakers. They were relatives hunter-gatherer relatives to modern day Central African hunter-gatherers, people that we call pygmies or the Batwa people today. But they just so happen to live in, was ones that was in West Africa. It wouldn't even, all of them wouldn't even necessarily like short stature like that either. Just the ones that was like more dense rainforest areas. So they were a lot shorter on average than than the Niger Congo speakers who eventually came in, who were much more taller people on average. Not as tall as Nilo Saharians, but we're much taller than, on average than the West African hunter-gatherers was. But the West African hunter-gatherers wasn't like as super soft, as super short statured, all the time, depend on their habitation. Because some, adapted to living in savanna areas. But the ones who lived in dense, more forest areas, they were the ones who they were the, what we call pygmies today and all that. That's all about evolution and morphology. And even what we call that short stature figure that you see in quote unquote pygmies. I don't like to use the term pygmies, little people of the forest. Central African hunter gatherers. That's an adaptation to living in dense forest areas. And some of their relatives, like the West African hunter gatherers, who got overlapped. They got overlapped by West African hunter gatherers. Even when they came in themselves, they overlapped in the mix with archaic humans and Aterian, humans who mixed with archaic humans before them. And then they came in and mixed with that population. And then the Niger Congo population came in, mixed with them. So we're finna get it in, man. The history of West Africa has been divided into its prehistory. The Iron Age in Africa, the period of major polities flourishing, the colonial period, and finally the most independence era in which the current nations were formed. I'm not gonna get into all the, I'm not gonna get into all. I'm just really get into the prehistory. I'm not gonna get into all the more, current history of West Africa. We'll get into that later on a different show. I just want to get into the people and the major cultural people and the culture of the people who came in, and even talk about, when did this IBM Marusian Metroid, DNA get into West African culture? That's why, look at, as I say, in Europe or some Nigerian culture have, a little bit small percentage of Neanderthal. It's because they mix with, IBM Marusians, the Green Sahara, period. We're gonna talk about some of that too. I already talked about some of this stuff in my last show. This is like a review, overview. If y'all go way back, one of my earlier shows, I already did a show on prehistoric history of West Africa. I did a whole series of it. I look at that, so I'm gonna bring it up to date. Just do an overview to smack people in the face to understand what it is. Where our culture and our people come from for real. Right here say West Africa is west of an image north-south axis, laying close to 10 degrees east longitude, bordering by the Atlantic Ocean and Sahara Desert. Colonial boundaries are reflected in modern boundaries between contemporary West African states, cutting across ethnic and cultural lines, often dividing single ethnic groups into two or more states. That's the modern Africa, how colonization sliced it up like that. But we're gonna get into that more ancient history for now. And they say West African populations were considerably mobile and interacted with one another throughout the population history of West Africa. I'm getting to this one too. Population history of West Africa. Chilean tool using archaic humans may have dwelled throughout West Africa since at least 780,000 BP and 126,000 BP. They don't telling how long, just archaic humans or older, you know what I'm saying, older morphological humans, you know what I'm saying, were roaming, you know, just roaming Africa, you know what I'm saying, different areas, you know what I'm saying. Even them, they had their own diversity amongst, you know what I'm saying, amongst those early humans from different being in those different regions at that time period during the middle Pliocene. And they say during the Pliocene, middle Stone Age peoples, you know what I'm saying, like example, the Iowa Illyrio people, possibly the Tyrians. You know what I'm saying? We can get into the Tyrians too. You know what I'm saying? The Tyrians were early branches off of modern humans before we got to more gracile modern humans like us today. You know what I'm saying? They, you know, Tyrians were modern humans, but they still had, you know what I'm saying, they were kind of transitional. That's why we, you know what I'm saying, we had the discussion on Three the Harder Way every Sunday. You know, check that show out, y'all. Every Sunday, you know what I'm saying, you see me, Uncle, and Gozy on there getting it in, and the brother Nazi Lee. But yeah, we had a discussion on that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even on that show we had a discussion. I think it was on a show. It was a different show. We were talking about that. We were talking about the Tyrian culture. I was trying to break it down to him, but they found out. We got it all straightened out. That the Tyrians, you know what I'm saying, they were slightly archaic. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't as archaic as Jabal Jahud. You know what I'm saying? Was even though Jabal Jahud was a modern human. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the earlier modern humans had somewhat slighter archaic, you know what I'm saying, features. That's why when you look at the Tyrian cultures, they look somewhat like Aboriginal Australians. You know what I'm saying? Aboriginal Australians look like that because they actually mix with archaic humans. You know what I'm saying? They got the Denisovan, you know what I'm saying, genetics. You know what I'm saying? Because even before Aboriginal Australians look how they look with the mix, they probably look more so like, you know what I'm saying, Papua New Guineans, because that's their closest relative. You know what I'm saying? Them the people how they migrated into, you know what I'm saying, Australia from those, you know what I'm saying, islands. And, you know what I'm saying? And it was like one landmass at one point in time. Let's get it in. I'm show you a Tyrian real quick. Ancestor whisper. Y'all see the screen? Y'all see the screen? Hold on. Show y'all see what a Tyrian. That's a Metroid. It's after the fact. You know what I'm saying? The Tyrians are the original North Africa. Not the Metroid. The Metroid is basically Iberian Marouge. You know what I'm saying? Them people mix with not them either. You know what I'm saying? That's a more like a Capsian culture is a mix. Damn, this one. Damn, what's the wrong one? There we go, a Tyrian, yo. The Tyrian, you know what I'm saying? See, like, it looks slightly, you know what I'm saying? Slightly archaic still. But some of this went into the soup. Some of this went into the soup to become West Africans, though. That wasn't Niger Congo speaking. We don't know what language these people spoke. You know what I'm saying? They spoke some dead, you know what I'm saying, North African language, some dead language. We don't even know. You know what I'm saying? It's way before Niger Congo languages came into West Africa. I'm gonna show you some maps too. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna show you some maps and break it down to make more sense to you. Gonna open your eyes. I show these maps all the time, but I guess I gotta break it down. I guess sometimes the map don't speak for itself for some people because they don't really study this stuff. Show Nazi leader study, he don't understand it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you don't know what language these people spoke, you know. And these people was in North Africa before the ancestors of Iberian Marousians came in from Asia. You know, because you know, remember the Iberian Marousians come from Juzana type people from, you know what I'm saying, from Asia, you know what I'm saying, from Western Asia. You know what I'm saying? They were some type of basal Eurasians. You know what I'm saying? The Iberian Mauritian was Beja Eurasians that mixed with these people. You know what I'm saying? Early. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere around 22 to 30,000 years ago, yo. And they mixed with these people. And then they form, you know what I'm saying, what we call the Nazareth. You see the Nazareth people and all that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of this DNA, like even like when you get to, you know what I'm saying, the ancestors of the later, Niger Congo, Nilo-Saharan, the proto Afro-Asiatic groups like the Proto Mota, you know what I'm saying? Those people will be considered post-Aterian. You know, because a Tyrian culture is still a material culture. You know what I'm saying? That started like around 100-some thousand years ago. But the material culture, you know what I'm saying, went through different people groups, you know what I'm saying? Like it was just a human thing that a lot of humans did. You know what I'm saying? From the ancient time, from humans looking like this, all the way till you get to the post-Aterian groups where humans, you know what I'm saying, you get the more gracile groups of humans, more modern African groups. Yeah, they need to. Yeah, they do, bro. They do. I'm looking at the chat. Yeah, they do. I do look at the chronology. They don't understand the overlap that's going on here. You know what I'm saying? So let's get back to let's get back to this real quick. Let me see this. Let me see this. Population history of West Africa. Yep, yep. Let me see this. I don't know for overview too. Good overview. I'm gonna take y'all, you know what I'm saying, back in time. We can get to the Niger Congo speakers where they even came from anyway, too. It's a good article. Check this article out. Population history of West Africa. Let's see, right here it say population history West Africa composed of West African populations that were considerable mobile and interacted with one another throughout the history of Africa. A Chilean tool using archaic humans may have dwelled throughout West Africa since at least between seven, yeah, we said this 800,000, 780,000 BP and 126,000 BP Middle Pliocene. During the Pliocene, Middle Stone Age peoples, the Alero people, possibly Aterians, who dwelt throughout West Africa between MS4, which is 71,000 BP, and MS2 to 29,000 BP to the last glacial maximum period. That's what these Aterians was lingering around, you know what I'm saying, all throughout North Africa, all the way down to, you know what I'm saying, modern day West Africa. And we just really talk about like two different people groups right here. Because the Chilean archaic humans, these are like the Jebel Jahud type people. You know what I'm saying? They're a little older than the Tyrians. You know what I'm saying? They are Chilean. And then when you get to the Liro dude, remember the Liro, he had mixed affinities. He's a little bit modern and a little bit archaic because he had a Tyrian in him and he had archaic Jebel Jahud type, you know what I'm saying, which is like what they call the lippy, the southern culture of that Jebel Jahud type had a wide range. They wasn't just in Morocco, yo. Them people was all throughout West Africa and Central Africa too. You know what I'm saying? These are Chilean, archaic type humans. People, if you look at of the culture, the Lippic Bond culture, which is another material culture, they would have been them people too, them type of people too. And these other Chilean cultures, they was all throughout, you know what I'm saying, Central Africa. Even before the ancestors of modern day pygmies even migrate. That's why Central African hunter gatherers got that archaic DNA in them. That's why them West Africa got that ghost population in them, because it is. And they say who dwelt throughout West Africa, between 71,000 to 28,000 BP, last glacial max, were gradually replaced by incoming late Stone Age people who migrated into West Africa as an increase in human conditions resulting in subsequent expansion of West African forests. See, that's what people get confused, because this east to west migration was a southern migration, and these people wasn't we still not talking about Niger Congo people yet. These like Niger Congo people or late Stone Age people, the post-Aterians or late Stone Age people. You know what I'm saying? These would be considered late Aterians too. You know what I'm saying? Post-Aterians too. You know what I'm saying? These late Stone Age people that migrated, you know what I'm saying, through the southern route to West Africa first, before the Niger Congo people did. You know what I'm saying? These people, the ancestors of, look, when I highlighted on here, say late Stone Age people, when I highlighted on it, say look, African pygmies. That's what they talking about. But they talking about the ancestors of African pygmies and the ancestors of West African hunter-gatherers. Remember, West African hunter-gatherers and pygmies or Central African hunter-gatherers are related. They split. Even some crazy DNA article or some page, I don't know why they said it, but they could have just said that, they could have just said West African hunter-gatherer like or whatever, but they said Khoisan like genetics that was in the Igbo. But it most likely was West African hunter-gatherer. They're just doing that clustering and proxies. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why Fetty, he take everything so exact and don't understand that, you know what I'm saying, the genetic test, a lot of times they don't put the history with it. They just take the different samples and say this is related to that, you know what I'm saying? Because in some cases, pygmies and, you know what I'm saying, Khoisan had a closer split, you know what I'm saying, one point in time. Even the Hadza like split, they split. The ancestors of the major three North African languages, like the Proto-Nilo-Saharan, the Proto-Niger-Congo, the Proto-Afro-Asiatic, or what we call the Proto-Mota, split from these groups somewhere in the east too. These people just so happen to migrate west, you know what I'm saying, early, you know what I'm saying, around this time, somewhere around 30,000 years ago. And they gradually replaced, so these later Stone Age hunter-gatherers gradually replaced, some of these mixed Aterian hybrid archaic humans. And they say, as an increase in human conditions, the result of subsequent expansion of West African forests. Look, West African hunter-gatherers occupied Western Central Africa, Shumlaka, earlier than 32,000 BP, dwelt throughout coastal West Africa by 12,000 and migrated northward. Look, they migrated northward, you know what I'm saying, during this around the same time in Niger Congo, you know what I'm saying, the proto-Niger Congo people were dwelling in Central Sahara. You know what I'm saying? So some of these Western hunter-gatherers kind of like, they split from the pygmies in Shumlaka. Some of them stayed, you know what I'm saying, became the Central African hunter-gatherers in them regions. And some migrated north. And they, you know what I'm saying, and they interacted, you know what I'm saying, not at first it was slow, you know what I'm saying, but eventually they interacted more and got overlapped by West African, you know what I'm saying, the West African hunter-gatherers who was more so agricultural. These Saharian people, these proto-Niger Congo speakers, they were hunter-gatherers too, but they was more grain collectors. Like they were more pre-agricultural. or pre-pastoral, you know what I'm saying? Even though they were hunter-gatherers, but they were a little bit more advanced than West African hunter-gatherers was. You know what I'm saying? For us, their lifestyle and you know what I'm saying, their approach, you know what I'm saying, living, they were a little bit more cultivated. And they say, yeah, dwelt throughout the coast of West Africa by 12,000 BP and migrated northward between 12,000 and 8,000 as far as Mali, Burkina Faso, and Mauritania. So them people, you know, they were all throughout the Green Sahara too. These West African hunter guys, they met up. They went the northward route and met up with some of these Saharian people. You know, when I mean by Saharian people, I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying, the Proto-Niger Congo people. In the end, on some instance, you know what I'm saying, you like shoot around 6,000 BPE. You had Nilo-Saharians, you know, Nilo-Saharian groups, aquatic groups, and you know, which is like these early Nilo-Saharian populations lived around these lakes, like the Kefians. And you know, later on, you had the Tenarians who were West Sahelian, you know, pastoral Nilo-Saharan groups who migrated to West Africa too. All these Saharian groups, but the earliest Saharan group that went into West Africa, deep to you know modern day, we think of as West Africa, were the Proto-Niger Congo speakers. And even them, you know what I'm saying, they still, you know, in the Sahara, they still lingered and intermixed with Nilo-Saharians. So they brought in a little bit of Nilo-Saharan DNA with them because they always, you know, lived alongside Nilo-Saharians for a long time as neighbors, even though they were different population groups. You know what I'm saying? They were neighbors in certain areas, you know what I'm saying, in the Central Sahara. And they were also, if you look at here, the Niger Congo speakers, the Saharians, they also were you know what I'm saying, or what's called the South Central Saharians, or these people that has something to do with like these bow and arrow tips. And even in the language, that's how even Christopher Everett talk about how they trace the language back to these bow and arrow tips too. And Roger Blanche talk about it, but the Onanian culture, you know what I'm saying, had to do with, you know what I'm saying, this round head art that you find throughout the Sahara too. You know, these proto-Niger Congo people were the round head art people. That's why a lot of times you see them with the mask and you see them dancing. You know what I'm saying? You see them doing certain dances the Niger Congo people do on the art, like how they drew it. And they say, look, during the Holocene, now we're talking about different people. We ain't talking about West African hunter guys. We're talking about different. Look, during the Holocene, Niger Congo speakers uh, independently created pottery in Ojogo, Mali, the earliest pottery in Africa by at least 9400 BCE. And along with their pottery, as well as welding, independently invented bows and arrows. So I'm talking about migrated into Central Sahara, which became their primary region of residence by 10,000 BP. The emergence of the expansion of ceramics in the Sahara may be linked to the origins of round head art and the Kale Esuf rock art, which is earlier than the round head. You know, so these come from Niger Congo people. They create that art, which occupy rock shelters in the same regions. Ajado, Axis, and Tadret, hunters in hunters in the Central Sahara. Look, hunters in the Central Sahara. These different hunters. These ain't the West African hunter gatherers. These the Saharian, Central Saharian hunter gatherers who are the Proto Niger Congo speakers who came from West Sudan, who was an offshoot of Niger Gaddafian people. See, I'm gonna show you. See, we talking about look, this during the Holocene. Our ancestors was in the Central Sahara during the Holocene. We migrated in there. But I'm gonna show y'all a map of the eve of the Holocene. Let me before I even get on deep in that, I've got to show y'all this map too. When we talking about the Central Africa, the West African, how even the map of West African hunter gatherers, who I told you who was an offshoot of the Central African hunter gatherers. Or they also they split from you. You know what I'm saying? Okay, here we go. Cambridge, Africa from 48,000 to 9,500 BCE. Christopher area, Cambridge. Oh, here we go. Good run slow. There we go. A second, yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna share it over. Oh, yeah. I love you. So I challenge. I challenge Chef Ryan. You challenge him on, bro. There we go. Here we go. I show you the map from my phone, yo. Pop in from the phone real quick. Yeah. Actually, not this shit. I see the map and I'm like, damn, exactly what I'm talking about. You hear me? Google Drive. Let me see, please. It was working now. Shit, wrong book though. Yeah. Yeah, boxing. Here we go. Here we go, y'all. We in there. We in there like swimwear. Yeah, we in there like swimwear. You feel me? Um, Shit, what I'm talking about now. In group, man. Y'all see the screen? Here we go. You see the screen. This is 48,000 to 30,000, you know what I'm saying, years ago. This around the time that I was talking about at the end of the, when these Tyrian groups, you know what I'm saying? These are Tyrian groups right here, mixing in with these Lippy Bond coaches. Lippy Bond coach is the same as Jabel Jahud that was up here. They lingered up here around here too. You know what I'm saying? I don't say Jabel Hood on this map, but we know where we at on that time. With the Lippy Bond culture, with like the remnants of that, you know what I'm saying? The last remnants of that Jabel Jahud type that was here in West Africa. They always in Central Africa too. Tyrian culture was early modern humans. You know what I'm saying? I showed you what the Tyrians looked like. They was all throughout here with this green phase of the Sahara doing 30,000 years ago. 30,000 years ago, you know, Sahara was green during this time. This was a different time period though. It has a left culture. You know, these are some of the earliest, you know what I'm saying, when the IBM Rouge started mixing with these Ethereum, these are some of the earliest mixes. Throughout these dotted lines, these were the late Stone Age groups was living all throughout these lines. All the late Stone Age ancestors, the ancestors of uh the ancestors of Nilo-Sahareans, the ancestors of Afro-Asiatic, the ancestors of Niger Congo, the ancestors of modern uh, West African hunter-gatherers and pygmies and Hadza, the ancestors of Khoisan, you know what I'm saying? They went in different directions. Came out of these populations in these dotted lines. See right here? See where it started here? Say fully modern humans and their later Stone Age cultures at 48,000 BC. That's what you say these lines are. The spread, and this right here, the spread of later Stone Age cultures after 48,000, you know, their dates. And see right here, these Mutapa, when they say Mutapa Cave, 42,000 years ago, the ancestors of West African hunter-gatherers and the ancestors of Central African hunter-gatherers, which modern day pygmies, lived in these regions first. They split, came into here. You know what I'm saying? That's why they got some of them they got B markers, just like Hadza do. Some of the Nilo-Saharan groups do before they became the groups where they were today. You know what I'm saying? Keep it out. Like got Mutapa culture. From Mutapa, they traveled up here to Shumlaka. You just talked about Shumlaka, you know, a few minutes ago. Yep, he was right here. And then remember, around 12,000 years ago, 12,000, we talk about 12,000 years ago, these Shumlaka people, some of these Shumlaka people, some of them stayed within these regions, became, you know what I'm saying, became Central African hunter-gatherers in these regions, mixed with some of the Lepi Bond culture here, mixed, and then some of them migrated up here. Some of them migrated up here, you know what I'm saying, 12,000 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And then eventually at some point, you know what I'm saying, around, which this ain't 12,000 years ago. This map is 48,000, 30,000, but somewhere around 12,000 years ago, you know, so I'm gonna show you another piece of the map. You know what I'm saying? United Congo people was probably in these regions by then. The Tyrians was already, Tyrians when he right here then, the Tyrians, because that time, the, you know, the desert would have been dried out again. And these Aterians would have leaked down here and mixed with these Lippy Bond culture people. And when the West African hunter guys was migrating in, they would have ran into them people and mixed in. That's why when you see the Iowa Alero dude, that's why I said possibly a Tyrion, but also had real archaic features because mixed with these people right here. Show y'all this map real quick. Y'all get it, you know what I'm saying? Every time I show this map, I kind of go over people's head for some reason. With some perspective on whatever piece say. Look, Central and West Africa, 48,000 to 22,000 BCE. This kind of break down what he was talking about. It say the spread of modern humans with later Stone Age industry westward from East Africa probably began soon after 48,000 BCE as well. The earliest later Stone Age level from Mutupi Cave in the Ituri region of northeastern Congo Basin. You know what I'm saying? It's in the east. You know what I'm saying? The southern east. And these ain't Niger Congo speakers yet, yo. These, I'm telling you, these is the ancestors of modern day pygmies, the West African hunter-gatherer population. They got overlapped by Niger Congo population later. It's a northeast Congo basin characterized, among other things, by the microliths, small notches, points, and hafting and burrowings, dates to after 42 and 500 BCE. All through just how much earlier is uncertain. By around 30,000 BCE, fully modern humans with a similar later Stone Age technology had reached the other side of Congo Basin, the earliest occurrence as yet identified from those areas as at Shun Laka rock shelter in the western Cameroon. To the south of the Cameroon in the Congo Basin, just as Southern Africa, archaic humans with Middle Stone Age technologies did not simply disappear before the advance of fully modern human later Stone Age people, but persisted for thousands of years in the southern Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea. For example, late versions of Middle Stone Age Lupi Bond tradition survived down to the beginning of the last glacial maximum. In those areas, fully modern later Stone Age people finally replaced them, probably only as climatic transitions of the glacial maximum took hold. In the eastern Congo Basin as well, a late Lupi Bond population may have existed down even into glacial maximum, perhaps exploiting modern ecological niches. In later Stone Age, modern humans who themselves had been present in regions from before 40,000 BCE. But further west in Africa, beyond the mountains that mark the western boundaries of modern day country Cameroon, the spread of later Stone Age technology seemingly came eventually to a halt. West Africa from Nigeria to Mali to Senegal, for reasons not understood, remain a place solely of Middle Stone Age industries, not just as late as 22,000 BCE, but down through the last glacial maximum. Spread of later Stone Age industries may have reached the mountains of Western Cameroon by 30,000 BCE, but the advance of fully modern humans halted for another 18,000 years. But that ain't. But that's this old information though. So it was new information found out. You know, that's why he got them arrows going up there. Because the information of the West African hunter gatherer, that's kind of a little bit new information. But he do know what we do know at this point that people came up to shoot him lockup. They used to think that they stopped at a certain point. But we know that they probably did for a while. You know, so they probably did stop at a point for a while. They had to. You know what I'm saying? Because when you read the other portion, you know, the other portion, the other source from Wiki, it say that the West African hunter-gatherers traveled northward. Remember, they said they traveled northward 12,000 years ago. So at a time point, you know, Christopher Eyre was on point at this time point when he wrote this, because they probably did stop and they probably didn't find out about the information yet. You know what I'm saying? And then 12,000 years ago, when people took a coastal route northward up through them regions, 12,000 years ago. So at a point, yeah, they did had a halting point around 30,000, you know what I'm saying, years ago. Let me go in, show the other map. Let me fast forward to the, oh shit. Let me fast forward to the pre-Heliocene. They talk about it again. It's another piece. You gotta read this too. Let's go to the other little piece too. So look in West Africa 22 to 12,000 BCE. In West Africa, however, makers of Middle Stone Age techniques did not disappear. They abandoned newly desert areas immediately south of expanded Sahara, leaving them uninhibited. At the same time, the resultant of replacement of rainforests of savanna in parts of West Africa. When they talking about these Middle Stone Age people, they talking about a Tyrian culture. You know what I'm saying? A Tyrian culture of Middle Stone Age people. You know, they modern humans, but they Middle Stone Age, and they mix with archaic humans, like the Lippy Bond culture or the Jebel Jahud type. They mix with them groups. And and then like when the West African hunter gatherers came in, I guess like some of that Middle Stone Age culture was still dominant in certain regions too. They said the near Atlantic coast apparently opened up new favorable environments for survival of the archaic humans and their technologies, in contrast to the outcome of most other parts of the continent. In West Africa, the Middle Stone Age, its makers remained a sole position for several thousand years longer, persistent as persistent as recently as 13,000, 12,000 BCE, all across later water areas and savannas, residential rainforests in Senegal in the west and southern Nigeria in the east. But that's around the same time, you know what I'm saying, West African hunter gatherers, you know what I'm saying, would have migrated in them areas, even though he had the information yet. Chris Eyre had the information in this part where he wrote this Cambridge article. It's what the information that was out at that time. The one item of human skeletal evidence available from the area of West Africa, the skull from the Iwo Iliro archaeological site in Nigeria, uh, dates to the very end of the period of reforms and last persistence of archaic humans in part of Africa. In the words of the investigators, the Iwo Iliro skull possesses neurocranial morphology intermediate in the shape between archaic hominids, Neanderthals, and Homo erectus, and modern humans. This morphology is outside the range of modern human uh, uh, variability. Emphasis added. They describe Io Illyro skull as being most similar to the anatomically modern specimens from the Levant of around 100,000 years ago, and the specimens from the Middle Stone Age sites in Africa, and entirely this entirely distinct from the fully modern humans who have occupied West Africa since 12,000 BCE. See, they're talking about the late Stone Age people. You know what I'm saying? They came in 12,000 years ago. I mean, yeah, the late Stone, like the West African hunter gatherers, and then and also the, what I'm saying, the Central Saharan groups, Niger Congo speakers. The skull morphologies, in other words, of the anatomically modern makers of Middle Stone Age industries from before 100,000 years ago down to at least Middle Stone Age, as exemplified by the Illyro skull, were not actually modern. They indeed were closer related to us than Neanderthals, but they were not people just like us. They were archaic humans, and they lacked the full suit of capacities of characterize all humans today. Their capabilities were such that they sometimes coexisted for thousands of years with nearby full modern human populations before finally becoming extinct. They were also of close enough genetic relation to us to have interbred in a new case with fully modern humans in Africa, just as uh, just as happened with Neanderthals and the early modern humans who moved out of Africa into Asia 48,000 years ago. This Eric saying this, you know what I'm saying? So this the map I would, this map. It's an important map right here. This is 16,000 to 15,000 years ago. This is on the eve. This is on the eve of this is on the eve of the Haliocene, right? Because even some of the West African hunter gatherers, they went up into like Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and Mali during the green phase too. The West African hunter gatherers, not talking about the Niger Congo speakers yet, but the West African hunter gatherers. Cause look, this 16 to 15,000 years ago. You look, Batwa Cultural Complex. You know what I'm saying? These Shunlaka Butapi cultures. You know what I'm saying? They are already blended in and mixed in with archaic humans of the Lippy Bond culture that was in these regions. Remember, Chris Everett just said right here, he said late persistent Middle Stone Age culture. These mixed hybrid Aterian mixed archaic humans. And remember right here, Oranian culture, what he got up here in north, where it say Oranian, East Oranian. Oranian is synonymous with Iberian Marusian. It's just another name to call Iberian Marusian. This is another name that he just wanted to use this name. You know what I'm saying? But Iberian Marusians, they mix with Aterians too. The Aterians still in these areas too when these Uzana type people or these Basel raisins came in, mixed with them. Some of them migrated south, mixed with archaic humans, and persistent, you know what I'm saying, by 16,000, 50,000, you had a persistent Middle Stone Age culture. And then late Stone Age culture started migrating in. The first late Stone Age culture that's migrated in and started mixing in with these cultures was, you know what I'm saying, the Shumlaka people, 12,000 years ago. And then 12,000 years ago, also around 12,000 years going into the Central Sahara, you had these folks. You know what I'm saying? Niger Kaddofian, the ancestor of Niger Congo, the ancestor of single Kaddofian, which stayed in the east, or it was here and it migrated into the Nuba Mountains. The Kaddofians migrated from this nucleus into the Nuba Mountains, became and became like a minority in this group and intermixed with Nilo-Saharan groups. That's why you see some of the genetics, they be like, oh, they got West African genetics. That's because of them Cordofian people. You know what I'm saying? And some Nilo-Saharan groups too, 60,000 BCE, migrated these ways up into this, up into the Green Sahara, to these regions. Even though the heartland of Nilo-Saharians is from this region, the Middle Nile. They from these regions, the heartland. So around 16,000 years ago, they started migrating westward too. You know what I'm saying? Niger Congo people, right here, 12,000 years ago, 13,000 years ago, started migrating up into Green Sahara. I ain't gonna say I'm gonna say shoot, 14,000 years ago, slowly but surely migrating up into these regions. They were living in Central Sahara for a long time. It was the Onanian culture with those arrowheads, arrow and spear tips. The Kefian people were the Nilo-Saharan groups, these aquatic Nilo-Saharan groups who lived in these regions. You know what I'm saying? See, it's uninhibited right now. These different people groups is going up in these regions. Afro-Asiatic groups. Here, Red Sea Hills. You know what I'm saying? Foothills of highlands of Ethiopia right here. You know what I'm saying? They already mixed with Basal-Eurasians coming in from these areas, They circumnavigating, mixing with Basal-Eurasians with a long ass time, even mixed with these Iranian Iberians who also just related to these Basal-Eurasians anyway. They all been mixed, you know what I'm saying? Before the later derived, you know what I'm saying, West Eurasians even start coming in with the SLC45G. You know, so they were trading obsidian tool kits through these regions, right? You know what I'm saying? All throughout these regions. That's why when we look at the older, you know what I'm saying, Mota or Omotic branches of Afro-Asiatic, it clusters with Nilo-Saharan and Niger Godolphin. See, look. It take y'all back to the ancestors before Niger Congo even migrated west. Let me show you. Here we go. What's going on? Northeast Africa, 22,000 to 12,000 BCE. Even that back to 20, even before, still like I showed that map said 16,000. Even before that, 22,000 to 16,000 in between this, 15,000 between this. You know what I'm saying? Northeast Africa, 22,000 to 12,700 BCE. Immediately north of East Africa lay another region of key significance for African history in the last glacial maximum. It's right before the Haliocene, y'all. The earliest speech territories of three major language families of Africa clustered in those areas. Look, Nilo-Saharan. Look, Nilo-Saharan. Between the Nile and West Africa, western edges of Ethiopian highlands. Let me say it again. That's where the Nilo-Saharans, what I showed you on the map, between the Nile and the western edges of the Ethiopian highlands. They talking about the diversity of Africa, yo. 22,000 years ago, Niger Congo, Afro-Asiatic, Nilo-Saharan groups were already split up into different groups before the Green Sahara, yo. That's what I'm trying to tell these people, bro. I don't know what they think people were like Smurfs or what. These people were different people that went up in there. They mixed, became other groups later on. You know what I'm saying? They brought major culture, like Nilo-Saharan culture faster than what it was and spread culture throughout. That's why when y'all be looking at certain West African culture, like, oh, that's Egyptian. It ain't Egyptian. It's Nilo-Saharan. That's because the Egyptians got the Nilo-Saharan recipe from the Nilo-Saharans that was in their region. And they carried a Nilo-Saharan culture in different directions. You know what I'm saying? Afro-Asiatic culture. They carry different cultures in different directions. You know, oh, it's Egyptian culture. No, it ain't Egyptian. It's a Chadic culture. Just so happened that Chadic is related to Egyptian cultures. They're all part of the Afro-Asiatic family. Right here it say, now it's here in between the Nile and western edges of Ethiopian highlands. We're here, Afrasian, also Afroasiatic in the highlands, and Niger Cadothian in modern day South Sudan, but more so modern day West, like Southwest Sudan. You've seen it on the map, West South Sudan, within the Yellow Nile region. It was the Yellow Nile region that connected, you know what I'm saying, that connected Chad to the Nile. Niger Cadothian people, ancestors of Niger Congo people in them regions. That's the corridor. That's the corridor of the Western Sudan. You know, what's that called? West Africa, Western Sudan anyway. They say probably in the areas immediately west of the look, it say Niger Cadothian in modern day South Sudan, probably in areas immediately west of the Nile. But south though, not up towards Egypt, but south. You had a little leakage into Egypt, you know what I'm saying, through, you know what I'm saying, but that was like already mixed in with Nilo-Saharan and all that stuff by then. That was through the Cadothian culture. Cadothian culture was going up, you know what I'm saying, that particular Niger Congo culture was going up, because they was already in the east, you know, 5500 BCE. And they migrated back from that area where I showed you where the Niger Cadothian people were. They say the southern Ethiopian highlands were even then the land of relatively high rainfall, and the South Sudan possessed large areas of both permanently and seasonal available surface water. Even with the lower flow rates of the Nile in those times, the archaeologist Stephen Brent has argued that because of these environmental advantages, animal and plant food resources were more plentiful. And so these areas became population refugia during this arid period. This, you know what I'm saying, during the time when the Sahara was dry, right before the Haliocene, when it became green again. Last time it was green is during the Tyrian period. You know what I'm saying? That was way back, you know what I'm saying, 30,000 years ago. It became, you know what I'm saying, desert again. After that, they say the southern Ethiopian highlands were even okay. Okay, so even the lower flow rates of the Nile in those times. Archaeologist Stephen Brentwood has argued that because of the environment, okay, they said it was plentiful food, it was a refugee. Okay, it said the people of this region stand off in the one notable respect of the social histories from the Khoisan and from the Batwa. See? Unlike the societies further south in Africa, the peoples in South Sudan and the Horn of Africa all seem to have developed linear descent systems during the span of the last glacial maximum. The archaeological evidence of the earliest Niger-Cadothian and Nilo-Saharan people is as yet scant. Nothing is known of material culture during the glacial maximum in South Sudan, and very little about the archaeological of adjacent areas immediately north of South Sudan and south of expanded Sahara of that period. What little information exists suggests that fishing and exploitation of other aquatic resources may have been important for both sets of people, and that the hunting of large herbivores may have been significant in the areas away from the permanent streams. They say from the comparative ethnographic evidence, it appears probably that Proto-Niger-Cadothian society of that period had already added a new, deeper level of kin relationship, lineage, and clan characterized by matrilineal descent rules. So they already had the proto Nigel which probably split from some type of proto-Nilo-Saharan people in the first place, because the Nilo-Saharans are the most basal group out of them three. So whoever the ancestral group was probably more Nilo-Saharan-like. The Niger Congo people, they somewhat like Nilo-Saharan, but they're not as lanky. You know what I'm saying? They're a little bit stout. You know what I'm saying? We got long limbs. You know what I'm saying? Somewhat, for savanna adaptation. But you know what I'm saying, they're a little bit more stout and stocky, but they still, had those long, long limb proportion. Like that's kind of how my limb, I got long, like even though I'm not tall, I got long, my legs are like long from, in my midsection or whatever. I got long arms, you know what I'm saying? That's that savanna adaptation. Let me see. Let me show y'all this real quick. Where you go? Oh yeah. Let's see what man. Here we go. Not a lot. Not up here. Let me show y'all something real quick. They even got it on look at a lot of people's. Look at their DNA. Look what it say. It kind of broke down what Eric was talking about in that Cambridge. Right here. It say the autosomal DNA of Nilotic people has been expanded in a study on genetic cluster of various populations in the area. According to researchers, Nilos nearly form their own African genetic cluster, although relatively most closely related to other Nilo-Saharan populations, more distantly followed by Afro-Asiatic speakers and Niger Congo speakers. Even though they more related to their own other groups, you know what I'm saying, more distantly, it's more distantly followed by these groups, even though they still close related, but they distantly, you know what I'm saying, related at the same time. Say the authors also found that certain Nilotic populations in the eastern lake regions, such as the Maasai, show some additional Afro-Asiatic affinities due to repeated assimilation of Cushitic-speaking peoples over the past 5,000 or so years. So overall, Nilotic people in other Nilo-Saharan groups are closely related to, let's say overall, Nilotic peoples and other Nilo-Saharan groups are closely related to Afro-Asiatic speakers of North and East Africa. Both groups are inferred to have diverged from a common ancestors around 16,000 years ago. Nilotic peoples in other Nilo-Saharan groups are also closely related to Niger-Congo people speakers of West and Central Africa. Both groups are inferred to have diverged from a common ancestor around 28,000 years ago, perhaps somewhere in the Sahel. Most Nilotic groups have predominant exclusive West and Eastern African ancestry, although some groups display varying degrees of West Eurasian admission, mostly mediated indirectly through pastoralists from the Horn of Africa. So it like came through, flanked through. So like I said, like even though like I said, like when I said right here said that the Afro-Asiatic, you know what I'm saying, split from Nilo-Saharan, but that Nilo-Saharan portion probably was still more so related to the Niger Congo. Because remember, Niger Congo people got mostly E1B1A, and Afro-Asiatic people got mostly E3B. So they had to have whatever, you know what I'm saying, that split was, they had to lean probably towards the Niger Congo port when they were still more Nilo-Saharan like. So yeah, this right here. So, interaction. West African hunter gatherer. West African hunter gatherers. Get to this part where non-Saharan people start coming in on this West African hunter gatherers port. It say prior to the Holocene, interaction between West African migrating. These at the West African hunter gatherers. They say West Africans migrating from the Sahara and West African hunter gatherers of the savanna and forest regions were limited. These two different groups, West Africans migrating from the Sahara and West African hunter gatherers of the savanna forest regions were limited limited, like the interaction was limited, you know what I'm saying, prior to the Haliocene. We told you like they migrated up from Shumlaka, these West African hunter gatherers at a point. You know what I'm saying? And it said as it has advanced by West African hunter gatherers macrolith cultural continuity. West African hunter gatherers likely were sole occupants of the savanna and forest regions of West Africa, unlike Central African hunter gatherers. Look, Central African hunter gatherers, which is the peak, it's a shorter, you know what I'm saying, forest people who dwelt in more secluded areas in the forest in Central Africa. West African hunter gatherers likely dwelt in more open areas of West Africa. Migration of, so they probably a little bit more taller than they cousins in Central Africa. You say migration of Saharan people south of the Sahelian regions resulted in seasonal interaction and gradual absorption of West African hunter gatherers. See, these Saharan people they talking about are Niger Congo people and partially Nilo-Saharan people who, you know what I'm saying, who was associated with some of these Nilo-Saharan, like the Khoisan or whatever, some of the Western Nilo-Saharan groups. But mostly Niger Congo people was the dominant Saharan people in this case. When they say population of Saharan people south of the Sahelian region resulted in the seasonal interaction and gradual absorption of West African hunter gatherers. So it's a slow absorption, you know what I'm saying, seasonal at first, who predominantly dwelt in savannas and forests of West Africa. After being persisted as late as 1000 BP, so them West African they were still around, at least around 1000 BPE, or some period of time after 1500 CE, remaining West African hunter gatherers, many of whom dwelt in forest savanna regions, were ultimately acculturated and admixed into larger groups of West African agriculturalists, akin to the migratory akin to the migratory Bantu speaking agriculturalists of their encounters with Central African hunter gatherers. So the ancestors, like these Saharian people, will be the Niger Congo speaking ancestors of Bantu speakers. You know what I'm saying? So the ancestors of the Bantu speakers who were these Saharan Niger Congo speakers, further north, migrating down until they became Bantu or Bantoid or Beni Congo people. They already had an admixture with these West African hunter-gatherer relatives to the Central African hunter-gatherers before the Bantu even migrated and had contact with Central African hunter-gatherers. So they like the Bantu in their DNA, before they even mixed with Central African hunter-gatherers, they would have had West African hunter-gatherers, the Central African hunter-gatherers cousins already in their blend and gene pool before they even mixed with the Central African hunter-gatherers in the first place. That's deep, you know what I'm saying? Phenotype. See, these the Sudanese. On this chart, when they talking about the Sudanese or the Nilos, we don't know who the Nilo is. They talking about the Sudanese, they talking about those like Proto-Niger Congo people. Look, widespread, type native to savanna regions of North Equatorial Africa. Look, North Equatorial Africa. Skull long and high nose, very wide and rather low rooted lips, bulging chin, small forehead stem, face large, hair kinky, legs long and bodies muscular. It's more longer, but we more muscular than us Aryans. In contrast to Bantoids of the southern savannas, features are more pronounced and skulls higher and legs longer. Represent an adaptation to human savanna climate. The most typical variety is the Sudanese proper of West Africa. In East Africa, typical variety, in East Africa, Kordofan, for example, Kordofan, a similar East Sudanese is found. The Bobo type of Burkina Faso is characterized by shorter skulls. The Senegalese by more gracile features and darker skin. They got a little bit more knowledge for hairy than them, you know what I'm saying? The Equatorial Sudanese, I ain't get to all that, but even when you look at the East African Sudanese, like when you look at this map, you see where the yellow, that's where they had majorly, but the brown is like where it like kind of blends into other populations. You'll see it pop in and out. That's why going all the way to Egypt like that, because the Kadofian population. See where I say the Kadofian similar, example, the Kadofian similar Sudanese. Look at the East Sudanese. See right here, centrally in Western Sudan, where the Kadofian, Nuba Mountains areas, and all the different areas in Western Sudan. But you see how it leaks and blends in with a what's that, green or brown? It leaks in to them different regions, but it's going to different regions where other populations already exist. Let me show y'all this too, when we talk about during the green period, when the Metroids and Iberian Marusians, you know what I'm saying, mixed in. Check it out, check it out. Let me show y'all something. See, look. Hassan Ali, look. This is a mix. All the dudes didn't look like this. This is showing you some of them did. They was mixed. Where they met up at the different refuges. Look, Iberian Marusian and Telarif. It was mixed with stuff. He was mixed with some stuff. Look, the Hassel about the individuals share many similarities with those found at Telarif, leading researchers to believe that they were likely part of the same genetic lineage. These forgers have been described as chrominoid appearance, indicating their morphology resembling to ancient uh, ancient Cro-Magnon population. It is possible that the forgers found at Hassel al-Badr were fully and largely descended from the Tel-Arif genetic line. Some of the people, migrated, into like Mali and stuff, Tel-Arif. And some of Niger Congo people, was up north. They was in their region too, in Morocco. I can show you that too. So look, even when you look at the Kefians, some of the Kefians was mixed. Some of these Iberian Maroons and these people like this, you know what I'm saying? Migrated, up into, some of these Iberian Maroons. See, this is Iberian Maroon right here. No, that's a Capsian. It's already mixed. You know what I'm saying? That's like a little bit later on. But so Iberian Maroon right here. Another Tel-Arif. See how they range. Some of them went into different during the dry period. Some of them met up in different lake oases, even south. And some of the Niger Congo, pro-Niger Congo people was up north in minorities. That's why you still find signatures of the Haratian ancestors was somewhat a minority in, Mauritania, these different areas. If someone was still lingering around there, there's one that's dominant as the Capsian descendants, but they were there. Metroid, Iberian Maroon, Tel-Arif. You know what I'm saying? When you see them south, see this? It's Iberian Maroon. When you see this one south, and they met up with them, and they met up, in the Oasis and linked up with some of them Central Sudanians. Not Central Sudan, I'm a bad, Western Sudanians, or what I say, South Central Saharians, Proto-Niger Congo speakers. These people, you know what I'm saying, they mixed up. That's why you look at that. I just showed you the one, the other one, you look even more tropical. The one that was in Mali. Look, let me show you this one. See? Tenarian. They was mixed. Tenarians were mostly Nilo-Saharan groups. Tenarian, Iberian Maroon, look, Sub-Saharan Africa. Tenarians were ancient culture that inhabited the region of Central Sahara approximately 70,000 to 40,000 years ago. Their origins are speculative, but are thought to be continuation of Kefians, but with an additional sub-Saharan African genetic influence. But if they really knew the history, you know what I'm saying, I got information that they changed the information. They changed some of this too. But I got more information on this. This is a proxy right here. All of them people didn't look like this. They were mixed. The mixed ones look like this. That's what I'm gonna say. The mixed ones look like this, but overall, the Tenarians were actual East Sahelians who came in and mixed with older Kefian groups, overlapped the older Kefian groups. The Kefian groups are actually older, traditional Nilo-Saharan aquatic groups. And the Nilo-Saharans who learned pastoralism came in and overlapped them. But at the same time, even before they did that, you know what I'm saying, these Iberian Maroon type people, you know what I'm saying, was meeting up with these Kefian type groups around these lakes. Anyway, so they had somewhat of a mix. See, let me show y'all. Go back to Wiki real quick. Show y'all this. Watch this. It's prehistoric West Africa. You right here, look. Tel Aviv, we've seen that reconstruction. Tel Aviv, Morocco, who have been radiocarbon dated 15,000, 13,000 years ago, found to be 36.5 Natufian, were also found to be 36.5 sub-Saharan African. Example, Hadzelite. You know what I'm saying? When they say Hadzelite, they just talking about general, you know what I'm saying, that super three type, proto-Nilo-Saharan type, groups that became, Afro-Asiatic, Niger Congo type people. You know what I'm saying? This is a nutshell. They were Hadzelite, which they really are. They split from Hadza in the east. And at one point in time, I showed you them dotted lines, which is drawn out most of by West African, Yoruba type examples. Okay, right here. Look, 15,000 BPE. Niger Congo speakers may have migrated from the Sahelian region to West Africa along the Senegal River and introduced haplogroup L2A1 into North Africa, resulting in modern Mauritanian peoples and Berbers of Tunisia inheriting it. So some West Africans, you know what I'm saying, during that climate, you know what I'm saying, that wet season, traveled up north, and you know what I'm saying, some of them got trapped doing this. I ain't gonna say trapped, but some of them like lingered around north and got overlapped by certain groups doing when the desert started to dry up again. Same vice versa, like some of the Iberian Marusian DNA got trapped in the south, between 12,000 BPE to 8,000 BPE. West African hunter-gatherers then likely migrated from coastal West Africa towards the north of West Africa as Mali, Burkina Faso. Oh, that's talking about West African hunter-gatherers. We already know about that. Look, as 19,000 years ago, Africans doing haplogroup E1B1 A B38 likely traverse across Sahara from east to west. So we talked about that. So I'm gonna see if y'all want to add a link. I'm gonna add a link to the. I want to join the panel. I want to rap with me real quick. Yeah, the flow is open, yo. Real quick, yo. I want to show y'all one more thing, one more source. Now I be out. You know what I'm saying? Hmm. Um, Roger Blanche, yo. Nazi Lee messed up, yo. You gotta watch this one. I'm gonna send it to him. A little last Africa over last 12,000 years ago. This is a good article too. Roger Blanche. Here we go. Here we go. Where did she go? Look, he showed the wavy line pottery, the harpoon we associated with Nilo-Saharians. Like I told Nas Lee and all of in Reggie him last Sunday. Look, harpoons. Look, little dots. See that? Distribution of barred harpoons. These all these areas associated with Nilo-Saharan speakers. This what Blanche is talking about. You say associated with the Keithians. Oh, talk about the Onanian culture. There we go. Look, Roger Blank. He said the reason for the dispersal of Niger Congo remains controversial. It is evidence that its early phase were pre-agricultural. They had like a pre-agricultural stage. So I said they were a little bit more advanced in the West African hunter gatherers when they came in. Saharian groups. Say bow and arrow and spear can be reconstructed, but no names for crops or domestic animals. One proposal is that the introduction of bows is marked by the spread of the macrolith points of the southwestern Sahara by 12,000 BP. The archaeological culture known as the Onanian, these them Central Saharians, these the Proto-Niger Congo culture, first recognized by Brazil in 1930 in Onan, south of Todeni in northern Mali, consists of tagged arrowheads. This occurred of Mauritania, modern day Mali, by 9,000 and 10,000 BP. Points were found at Korga Oasis, Onania points or arrowheads or projectile points in the Caucasus, in the cautious language of liths. The appearance of the across Western Central Sahara can be connected with the northward movement of large animals along trans-desert corridors, with the opening up of Green Sahara and evidence of capacity of bridge down the large mammals would provide a significant competitive advancement, thereby stimulating early language expansion. So these would have been a not look. The linguistic geography of Niger Congo suggests an early split between the bow and arrow hunters and the evolution of groups focusing on aquatic sources. The coast as marked by series of branch uh, Atlantic Bach, Crew, Quay, and Aja, stimulated at the Terminus River system. See, told y'all. See what I said? See, I told y'all. Look, what he say? Look, you want to get into the Keithians. That's Harris. Mm. Also hearing um, let's see here. This thing. I don't think it said in this one, but he basically breaking it down. Let me look up. Yeah, okay, sir. We're gonna get into that subject next, probably next show, man. We're gonna get into the Keithians and who that was, the harpoons. We're gonna get into all that next show, yo. And I'm putting together a presentation too to wrap up the Bantu expansion and one show presentation, kind of an overview. It's gonna be an overview show like this. And I'm doing the PowerPoint presentation so I can sum up the 5 expansion phases of that. So I can sum that subject up. So, like, subscribe, hit the like button, share this, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be out, yo. Peace. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me.